Hey everyone, welcome back to Endless Money Pits. This is my 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and today I'll show you how to install an adjustable external voltage regulator. This vehicle, like many others, uses its main computer to regulate the voltage being generated by the alternator, typically putting out somewhere between 13 and 14.5 volts. Sometimes, the computer stops doing this correctly, which could potentially lead to failure of your battery, alternator, or other parts of the vehicle's electrical system. In this case, your options are to either replace the computer or install an external voltage regulator that bypasses the computer, like the one we'll be working with today. Personally, I'm installing this on my Jeep because it has two Odyssey AGM batteries that require 14.7 volts to stay properly charged. Despite having my factory alternator rebuilt to put out 300 amps, the Jeep's computer is limiting the voltage too much, so the best option for me is an adjustable external voltage regulator. Here are the tools that I used for this job. A couple of socket wrenches, socket extension, 10mm socket, 3/8 socket, 7mm socket, 12mm wrench, pliers, Dikes, wire strippers, tiny flathead screwdriver, center punch, magnetic bull, multimeter, circuit tester, heat gun, and a power drill with a 5/32 drill bit. For this job I also needed heat shrink tubing, dielectric grease, a bungee cord, a test lead with alligator clips, paint marker, sandpaper, and a quick splice wire connector. The voltage regulator I'm installing is made in the United States by a company called Quick Start. I ordered the finest adjustable model they had to offer for about $90 plus shipping, which came with a kit that includes field replacement module, wiring harness, ground wire, mounting bolts, butt connectors, ring terminals in two sizes, spade connectors, and some zip ties. Before we get started, you should always disconnect the battery before working on anything electrical. I needed a 12mm wrench, but I think the factory terminals on the Jeep have 10mm nuts. As you can see, I don't have much space left to install this thing. I've already installed a number of aftermarket accessories, but I actually found a pretty good spot to mount it. First, I'll wipe away the dirt. A paint pen worked well to mark the two holes I'll be drilling. Then I used a center punch to put a little dent on each mark. This will keep the drill from slipping before it starts digging into the metal. The windshield wiper fluid tank is in the way, so I'll remove these two 10mm bolts and move it off to the side. I didn't want to mess with disconnecting it, so I just used a bungee cord to hold it out of the way. Storing the tank up here caused some of the wiper fluid to drain out from the windshield sprayers, so just be aware of that. You have to press kind of hard to drill through metal, but don't press so hard that you break the drill bit. Now I'll grab the ground wire from the kit I bought and prepare one end of it with one of the larger ring terminals and some heat shrink tubing. I know some people like to solder their wire connections. I don't do that, and it's never been a problem for me, but do whatever you think is best. You can use a lighter or matches to shrink the tubing if you don't have a heat gun. To make sure there's a good ground connection, I sanded off the paint around the holes I just drilled. And to keep the metal from rusting, I applied a light coat of dielectric grease. Then I tested the ground with a multimeter just to make sure it has continuity to the negative battery terminal. Time to mount the regulator using the included bolts in a 3/8 socket. Don't forget to connect the ground wire and wiring harness, and be careful not to strip the holes. Now we can move to the alternator. Here's where we'll attach the other end of the ground wire. The large wire down here is the main positive cable. These two green wires will be cut and connected to the field replacement module from the kit, which I think I'll zip tie to this AC line for now since I'm running out of space. Mechanics really love to see things like this. Make sure you leave the green wires long enough when you cut them. Mine are a little short because I've had to cut them before. The spade connectors from the kit will go on these wires. I forgot to use heat shrink tubing here, but I might add some later. The spade connectors will slip onto the ends of the field replacement module. It doesn't matter which way the wires go, but it might take a little force to slip them on. Don't forget to trim your zip ties. Looks good enough for now. The wiring harness has a red wire that's shorter and separate from the other two wires. This wire will need to splice into something that only gets power when the ignition is on. I haven't been able to find any wires under the hood that only get power when the ignition is on, so I'm using a wire that I've already run to the engine bay from the cigarette lighter in the dash for my battery isolator. If you need to do the same thing, there's a wiring pass-through in the firewall above and to the left of the brake pedal that you can use. But it's not easy. I'm using a quick splice wire connector to keep things simple. These are nice because all you have to do is put the wires side by side and use pliers to force a piece of metal into the two wires, connecting them without any cutting or stripping. I used a test light to verify that the wiring harness is only getting power when the key is in the on position. Now you can trim the ground wire from the kit if needed, and prep this end with another large ring terminal and heat shrink tubing. I had to unplug this sensor to make some extra room. There's one 10mm nut for these ground wires, and two 7mm nuts to remove the block the green wires were connected to. There's nothing inside of this block. It just holds the green wires in place. Reattach your grounds along with the ground wire from the kit. The last two wires from the harness will need to be connected to the alternator using the small set of ring terminals. Reattach these to the alternator using the two 7mm nuts. The orientation of these wires does not matter. Don't forget to reconnect that sensor. With the regulator fully installed, it's time to start the engine and see what kind of voltage we're getting. You won't get an accurate reading until you rev the engine a bit above idle. This regulator is said to be set at 14.3 volts from the factory. I'm getting about 15.6 volts, but these fancy batteries need it to peak at 14.7. The instructions say that a very high voltage or a jumping voltage could be from a bad ground, but I don't think that's my problem. I think this could be because I had my alternator rebuilt for higher output, but I'm not really sure. I'll just have to adjust it down and recheck the voltage. Unfortunately, this means unbolting the regulator from the firewall for each adjustment because it has to be grounded to test the output. This dial on the back controls voltage output. Use a tiny flathead screwdriver to make small adjustments between tests. If you get tired of doing this over and over, you can use a test lead with alligator clips to ground the unit while you adjust it. I got a little frustrated because my voltage readings were jumping around despite making sure I had a good ground. When I finally got to test drive the Jeep, I noticed the engine was surging as well. The problem turned out to be a bad tensioner pulley wobbling back and forth. It was making the dash lights pulse and even made the power steering cut out a couple of times. Any guesses on what I'll be fixing in the next video? Anyway, once you get the voltage set to what you need, get the voltage regulator bolted back into place with the ground wire. I'll slip the wiper fluid reservoir back into place and reinstall its two 10mm bolts. Here's a closer look at my fine work. For the ladies. Now close the hood because we're done. That concludes this week's video. If you'd like to help support this channel, you'll be happy to know that I finally set up a Patreon account. I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope to make it my full-time job someday, but these first 36 videos have all been created in my spare time. As always, I hope you will like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment down below letting me know what you'd like to see next. And until next time, just keep throwing money at it.